Howdy, it's Jim Morado, and this is earlier this year, I think February or March. I stopped by the now former Towne Square Mall in Owensboro, Kentucky. I grew up here, I spent a lot of time here, and rumors were going around that its days were numbered, so I thought I would just stop by and made a little video. It gets blurry a couple times, sorry about that. But I made a little video, and plus I've got some pictures I've taken over the last decade or so, and I just thought I'd put something up kind of talking about the mall. I do love this place. Gonna drive around the outside part of the mall real quick. And of course Grandy's. Grandy's right out there by the mall. It folded not too long ago too. I used to love that place too when I was younger. I won a dozen Grandy's cinnamon rolls and a coffee mug from the local radio station for answering some sports trivia questions. Actually, I won a couple of times, and I thought that was great. But just driving around the mall right now, and I've put up other videos. I've got another video on this YouTube channel, driving around Owensboro in the outside part of the mall, and I've got another video up of the old Lincoln Mall. I was a huge fan of the old Lincoln Mall, which is now a church, but I've got a video of it up too. But today I just thought I would talk about Towne Square Mall. And there's the back of the mall, what I've always called the back of the mall. I took that picture in April of 2018. You still had the Macy's sign up there at the time. If you went in that little back entrance, you'd come out. There was the mall offices, and the public bathrooms were to your left. And then there's also the arcade. We used to go in those doors, and then almost immediately to your left was the old arcade. And if you go back even more years, there was the old T-Shirts Plus store that used to be there. But yeah, that's kind of the back entrance. And there's the doors again. I think that picture is from 2018. When I was in middle school, I would sometimes walk from Burns Middle School over to the mall on a Friday, and we would go play games at the arcade or whatever. And there's what I call the front of the mall, and we're gonna go through those doors here in just a moment. And as you go in, up on the left it used to be Osco Drugs, and that, I believe that was the last store. Yeah, kind of to the left of where we're at now. Used to be Osco Drugs. Where that sign is, where that big lit up kind of direction marker is, those used to be phone booths. They used to have old pay phones, not a phone booth, but they had it was kind of like a little round area where they had several pay phones. Yeah, right there, kind of looking out the doors there, they had pay phones right there. Then to the right, that's where Osco Drugs used to be, and I'm pretty sure it was the last of the original tenants to leave the mall when it finally left the mall several years ago. And they had the record store there. I believe the record store moved from elsewhere in the mall to that location where Osco's used to be. And moving up towards the center of the mall, a little kiosk thing, a little more recent addition. I know there used to be a Ruby Tuesdays there on the left, kind of across from Osco Drugs. I used to like Ruby Tuesdays a lot. I know a couple of other restaurants have been there in more recent times. Of course, Claire's Jewelry used to be right down there too. And then we're up at the center of the mall. And if you're up kind of in this little center square area of the mall, there used to be jewelry stores. It seemed like, right there, there used to be a fountain there, and right there by the fountain there used to be just a ton of jewelry, like, Rogers Jewelers and a couple of other jewelry places like that. And just one more look kind of down that corridor of the mall. I think there used to be like an A&W restaurant on the right, and I want to say there was a bank here too at one point. If you remember much about those, though, feel free to comment. Yeah, but down there, Osco Drugs is what I remember the most. I had some friends that worked there. I guess I had friends that worked at various places through here. Oh yeah, and then that's a picture down there that was Osco's that became a shoe store at some point. I believe that picture is from 2018. And they always would decorate the mall up for Christmas. And I know some of these various pictures will be just Christmas time pictures that I took over the years. Okay, and we're walking down now towards another corridor of the mall. This one I remember because there used to be the KB Toy down there on the right, kind of around that corner, and it was Woolberries or Woolsies and Thornberries before. And then over here towards the left, that area was a Walden Books at one time, over here on the left. And that's kind of what I remember, I want to say, from the 80s. But yeah, I guess at that time, instead of getting on the computer to find out what was going on in the world, you went to the mall. Of course, there's a mall map kind of showing you, where things are. And then right behind that mall map, in front of the Anchor store, there used to be a little seating area. I've got some pictures of that I'm about to put up. They used to have kind of weird concrete block seats throughout the mall. It was a very blocky mall at one time. And yeah, a little arcade there. And then Spencer's. Spencer's to me has always been in the mall, but it moved. It's not always been there. But there's Spencer's. And Spencer's always had, I remember at Halloween, you'd go in November and all their Halloween stuff would be greatly reduced, and you could get one of those really cool big latex masks that were all kind of big and creepy. But yeah, down this corridor was the toy store and Walden's, and that's what I remember from my childhood. The toy store was great, especially before it was KB. They had all sorts of good stuff. It was a little overpriced. It was a mall, but as a kid, I always loved going in there and looking at toys. They always had like high-end collectible stuff too that was just cool to look at when you're a kid. And more pictures. I believe these are from 2018. Not a great one, but kind of looking over where the toy store used to be. And then that was a dollar store in later years. I do remember that. Of course, I haven't lived in Owensboro since... Oh, geez. Yeah, since probably the late 90s. So I'm not there as often as I used to be, but I would still stop by here now and then. And of course, yeah, you have the childhood memory, so it's always fun to go back. Yeah, but you can see they had this nice little carpet and a little seating area, a little rest area. If you were in the mall and just wanted to sit down, they had that. Oh, there's a Hibbett Sports there. Again, 2018. And then, like I said before, they used to have these weird, just kind of block areas. I don't have any pictures of those. That picture's from 2019. And looking back down that a ways towards that old Anchor, which was a Sears. And even in 2019, it was not looking too great. And then these are some I just found from 2014. 2014, you see there was a little sports store there. And then to the right is what used to be the toy store and a dollar store. Had a little, I guess, game riding area there too. And yeah, so these were 2014. So I've got at least a decade's worth of pictures in this video. I hope you appreciate that. But yeah, even that store was kind of boarded up and vacant at that time. And there's looking at the Sears. Yeah, there's when Sears was still there. And again, kids these days don't know the thrill of each year when the Sears catalog came out. And the JCPenney catalog was exciting too. Service Merchandise had a cool catalog too, I remember. And you'd flip through those and fantasize about what you wanted for Christmas. You couldn't Google stuff back then. Anyway, this is down towards what I think of as the old Spencer's, down there in the kind of bottom left corner. That's where Spencer's was forever. Then right there kind of to the left, that's just always in my mind been a pizza place. I know it was a Noble Romans at one point. I love Noble Romans. And they're I don't know if any really exist anymore, but I was kind of glad to see that. And then, of course, a very vacant building or vacant store on the right there. And here's some pictures from 2019 of that end of the mall. And I think Trends, if you remember, Trends used to be at this end of the mall, I believe. And they sold stickers back when stickers were a big thing. You'd go in there and you could buy lots and lots of stickers. I remember getting Ghostbuster stickers there. And they even had grab bag I think for $1 or $2 you could buy a grab bag of stickers. There's the old Spencer's location with a sign out front advertising that another location of the Crim was going to be moving in. That never happened, but I remembered seeing that sign and thinking, well, that'll be great for the mall. And only in Owensboro, there's a Candy Craze, and right next to it, a Weight Watchers. And I just remember thinking that was, I don't want to say comical, but... And of course, there's a Radio Shack there to the left, too. And going back to the center of the mall, when I was a kid, there was a fountain there. All that gated area was a nice fountain. It was a pretty blue fountain. There was a clock on that tower in the middle, and you always threw pennies in the middle. And there was a Baskin Robbins right around here. And you'd go get ice cream, and then you would go look at the fountain and throw pennies in it. It was very sweet. And once in high school, I was in drama, and we came out and did a short version of one of the plays we were doing right in the middle of the mall, trying to drum up some business and sell tickets to our play. It went really well, if I remember correctly. And they would have the Easter Bunny and I believe Santa Claus in the middle of the mall on the appropriate holidays, and it was just a really happening place at one time. But you always went up there and threw your penny in the fountain, and they made that they unfountained it years ago, and I believe that's where the Baskin Robbins used to be. And again, jewelry shops all over there. That cookie store has been there forever. It seemed to me too. I kind of remember when it went in, and it just seemed like it kind of stayed there. Of course, when I was here earlier this year, they had some of the areas blocked off. They were talking about some sort of gaming center here, and then it looks like that fell through, and then again, it looks like they're kind of planning on redoing the mall, which is sad, but at least it'll continue on in some way. I do remember a lot of stores that have come and gone. There was a video rental store, video kind of store, down by the toy store, and lots of clothing stores. And it was a very trendy place back in the 80s. And I was looking, and I have a ton of pictures. I believe these were from 2013, showing the center area of the mall. I got some other pictures from 2018 and 2019. But yeah, that's, again, I think 2013, 2014. Obviously, the mall was still kind of, you've got people there. It was somewhat happening. They were trying to get this place moving and grooving. I do remember when I was a kid, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, I was over at Baskin Robbins with my mom and my aunt. And I wandered off about 20 feet away from them. And I do recall some security people and some people coming over to try to help me find my mom. And it was a bit of a production. Of course, now if you wandered 20 feet away from your mom in the mall, there's nobody else there. They'd find you. Another look of the mall decorated for Easter. Very pretty. I want to say that's 2018 or 2019. And... just very pleasant. Obviously a very pleasant place to sit, relax, do some shopping, and get an ice cream, get a cookie. And there's the center mall area decorated up for Christmas. Again, very nice. They obviously put some work into that. Lots of personal stories from the mall. One of my friends, more Christmas decorations. One of my friends taught his son a very bad word when he was about 3, and his son ran off from us in the mall, and I went after him. And as I was chasing him through the mall, he yelled this very dirty word at me. And I caught up with him and put my hand over his mouth, and it was kind of embarrassing. I'm sure people thought I was the dad and I had taught him that word, but I hadn't. And of course, my friend's son, we laugh about that now. And again, look how pretty that was at Christmas. Just really nicely done. Yeah, hopefully all those decorations will live again somewhere else. And some more pictures of the center of the mall. I know back in the late 80s, there was a really nice pizza place. It might have been one of the first wood fire pizza places I ever saw. And it was in the mall next to Disc Jockey. And I loved that place. If you remember the name of it, let me know. And of course, The Spot, the coffee shop The Spot, had an additional location here in the mall where Baskin Robbins used to be. That lasted, I don't know, maybe a year or two. They might have just had it in there for the holidays, I don't know. But I love The Spot. One of my favorite coffee shops. If you're in town, please patronize them. They deserve your business and they appreciate it. Here's this was from 2019. There's a map of the mall. I believe that map is from 2018. Kind of showing you what was there at that moment. And then I think that one was from 2014. I think I took that picture in 2014. My buddy the Toyminator, several years ago, I know he had a seasonal Christmas time. He rented out one of the stores at Christmas, and he had a little shop there. That's Bath and Body Works. That was back when I was here. This is the last store I ever walked into in the mall was Bath and Body Works, and I asked the young lady working there when was the mall going to close, and she had not heard any rumors about the mall closing. So hopefully those people found some good jobs somewhere else. Looking out the mall, and to our right is kind of the longer end of the mall going down. If you take a left, you go to the arcade. If you go straight, you go down to, I think that was JCPenney. We're looking at that now. By the way, right there in front of us, there's a little spot that during the 80s, maybe early 90s, and actually we're going towards it to the right now, that little area right up there on the right. Back when the mall was more boxy. They had kind of a weird, you'd go down like a ramp or some stairs, and it was almost like a little boxed-in privacy area. And, it was the kind of place where if you needed to change a kid's diaper or something like that, you could go down there. I think there were some payphones, too. And, of course, that's totally not there anymore. But I just remember this weird little boxy section that was there. And you wouldn't even put a place like that up in a mall now because people would go down there and do bad stuff. There's the hallway going to the bathrooms and the offices. Again, that's from earlier this year. Obviously, it didn't look too good. And there's the old arcade. I remember T-Shirt Plus being down here too. Looks like there was a gym there at this point. I know there was a gym there not too long ago. And yeah, I miss the old arcade. I used to go down there and, for $5 you get a bunch of tokens, and I would always like to play Gauntlet and Rampage. Those were my two big games that I loved. There was a gym, I think that's 2018. There was a gym there right across from where the old arcade was. Not sure how they did. I hope they've set up shop somewhere else. But yeah, there was a gym. I loved the arcade though. It was a lot of fun. And I think that was from 2019. There by the old arcade. I do wish I had some older video of the mall. I know back in high school, my cousin took an old camcorder in and filmed a little bit. He passed away about 15 years ago, and he probably taped an episode of Three's Company over that or something. But that video does not exist anymore. I wish it did. And going down towards the old JCPenney end of the mall, you can see where they've kind of blocked stuff off. You can't even walk to the end at that point. And you've got those weird massage chairs there. But you could kind of look down there and remember. So, yeah, I guess I'll start wrapping this up. It's kind of sad that the mall's gone. I do love old malls. Even when I travel, I love to stop at malls. Just because I think I'm of that generation. It is nice seeing some downtown areas coming back. I think malls will have their day again, and luckily there are still malls out there. If you want to go to a mall, you can definitely find malls to go to. That's no problem. And of course, Evansville has their nice big mall if you're in this area. Nashville. I like Indianapolis. They've got a couple malls that I'm really big on. I love the Keystone Mall down there. In fact, I've put up videos about that elsewhere. And I did want to put up a couple of pictures from this end of the mall. And these are from, I believe, 2019. And you can see when JCPenney was still there. You can see a couple of the other stores that were here still at that time. This video was longer than I thought it would be. Forgive me for that, but I did have a lot to say. This is another nice shot of JCPenney back when it was still around in Owensboro. Some little kind of kiddie rides up here you'll see in a moment. I believe they're kind of repurposed from Showbiz Pizza. Wanted to mention the old disc jockey records too. When I was coming up, and people went from buying albums to tapes to CDs. I loved Disc Jockey. It was a great store, and my buddy John worked there for a while, and I just always enjoyed going in there. And I was probably mostly buying cassette tapes back then. Remember singles? Cassette tape singles? That was, something that I'm sure a lot of people just don't even remember. Yeah, I think that was repurposed from Showbiz. I could be wrong, but that looks very Showbiz-ish. Love Showbiz Pizza too, by the way. I've got some videos of that up elsewhere. And and here's one thing from my personal collection. That's a receipt from Disc Jockey for the album, for the CD, Jimmy Man, I'm a Butt, which was not an actual CD, but my friend John rung up one of my purchases and named it that. He thought that was hysterical, which at the time it was. Anyway, do you have any memories from the old mall? Feel free to drop me a line. I'd love to hear from other people about that. Thanks.